Good works are done in light, so what's done in darkness needs to be brought to light. And it's up to us, citizen media, to be out here and expose it.
We will stand and fight.
Seeking answers to age-old questions. Deciphering the world painted around you by the mainstream media. This is the Kev Baker Show. And now, here is your host, Kev Baker.
Morning, good afternoon, good evening.
No.
Gentlemen, yes, that's right.
No.
Live right here on the Kev Baker.
There we go. Let me start again. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another Kev Baker Show. Yes, we are live at the earlier time of 9 p.m. in the UK. Our clocks went back over this side of the pond at the weekend. So, because we're on an American network, Truth Frequency Radio, which is still down at the moment, more about that as we progress. We go back to the earlier time of 9 p.m. until America puts their clocks back, and then we'll go back to 10 p.m. And I am coming to you this week, get this, folks, not only from under the data dome, but from within 1 mile of the United Nations controlled blue zone, which is in Glasgow right now. Yes, indeed. More about Cop Out 26 in a moment. But thankfully, despite all of the Secret Service and the world's espionage teams and close security teams and the world's private jets all flying in here, we can still get the signal out to you all the way from Scotland via America to Australia, just about everywhere in between. Thanks to today, Twitch TV, and I think we're on Jimmy Jean's YouTube channel. And a big shout out to TFR Live. And for anyone wondering what's happening at TFR, we've been under some serious attacks. Now, having been at TFR since near the very beginning, the one thing I can tell people out there is that there's one good thing always comes of problems on TFR. And whether it's technical issues or, in this case, people literally cyber attacking the website, what happens is in the background, Mr. Geo gets tirelessly to work and he future-proofs us for the next round of shenanigans. So we will be back over there in the next couple of days. We thought it might be today, hopefully tomorrow, but we will build back better. Yes, indeed, and I swear to you, if I hear that term, build back better, one more time today, I'm going to vomit. There was another phrase that caught my attention today when I was having to sit through some of the COP26 propaganda so I could put together today's show. And it was the Prime Minister of India, Modi, I think his name is. And he kept on saying it. You ready? One sun, one world, one grid. One sun, one world, one grid. They were talking about, a project to harness the power of our local star. Yes, indeed. And that would move us from like a type 3 civilization to a type 2 on the Kardashev scale, I believe. Boris Johnson, he was on there with crazy hair. Nicola Sturgeon is doing all she can to get in front of a camera. And do you know who else is in town? Two people really need highlighting here. First up, we've got the man with the phallic-shaped rocket. Yep. Old Jeff Bezos, old Crazy Eyes, is in town. No, he didn't land the penis-shaped rocket in Glasgow. I've been reliably informed. No, and you know who else is here? You knew he would be here, right? It's everyone's favourite bajillionaire. You know how he's kind of dictated our life for the past couple of years. It would have been wrong if the man who had once said we need to have the death panels and get rid of grandma for for an extra couple of teachers and get all the carbon down to zero. And, that would require getting world population down to zero. You know him. That's right. Bill Gates. I mean, what? It wouldn't be a globalist conference if Uncle Bill wasn't there, right? I tell you, it is absolutely disgusting. And if that wasn't enough to keep me awake at night, I feel almost dirty. It's horrible. It's like it's sticking to me. That little monster. And that's what she is, ladies and gentlemen. That little monster, Greta Thunberg, is in Glasgow. Shh. Not sleeping easy these days, I'm telling you. So yes, forget COP26. It's COP out 26. And there's a part of Glasgow that's literally under the control of the Blue Helmets. Yeah, we're the first smart city in the UK. And by my reckoning, I think we might be the first under UN control for all this and a whole lot more. It's not just me today. No. I'm going all the way to an equally globalist part of the world. And that is California. And our good friend, the man sitting in the magician's cupboard. There he is. The moustache is growing back nicely. It's got a good look to it. Don't do that to me again. Don't go shaving the facial furniture, dude.
I know.
You're a man. It makes you look distinguished. It is you. It doesn't define you. I mean, you're not the Tash. You're more than a Tash. Don't get me wrong. However, you need the Tash.
I understand. I believe me. I've been feeling the pain of my mistake. But
was this your was it like in solidarity with the COP out 26 shenanigans that's going on right now? Did you actually come up with the idea of shaving your Tash to save the planet?
No, I wish I could say I did, but no, I was shaving one day and I just made a mistake and then tried to fix it, and then one thing led to another and it got smaller and smaller until I looked like Hitler. And then I just said,
that's definitely, even all these years later, still not a good look.
No, but hey, no. it's 2:00 in Pacific. Okay, it's time to polish those rockets and swallow those pills, because I think we're about to get into some really inflammatory information for some people.
Probably. I mean, sitting on this side of the pond, how we talked about online identification and stuff like that recently, Jimmy. We've covered that kind of thing. Back in the news over here, quite prominent. And hey, we got a new follower over on Twitch. Excellent. Pandemic of the flatulated. I like that. I like it. But what were we talking about there, man?
We were talking about the flatulation that's going on under the data dome, and you better open a window and let the gas out, man.
I forgot where I was going, man. I forgot what we were talking about.
Well, let me ask you a question. Are they talking about how much carbon is coming out of those volcanoes that are exploding all over the place?
Well, even more closer to home, forget the volcanoes. What about all of the aircraft that they kind of flew in on? I think there's 400 plus. all kind of got their own nice little bit of the runway. I've got a story up here as well about how there's an area of Glasgow quite notorious with it's quite dodgy at night. Well, get a young woman walking through there.
There's
not the best of routes to be going, but hey, Jimmy, it's okay, because do you know what they've gone and done in their absolute wisdom? A dark park at night. They've gone and turned out the street lighting. Because that's obviously going to save a couple of polar bears along the way.
There you go.
And people are now having to walk home in the dark. They had a whole area of Glasgow sealed off last night so that they could have dinner at a swanky restaurant and people couldn't get in and out of their homes. Because everything's on lockdown in the blue zone,
See, I guess it all depends on what level your pass that you have will allow you to get to different parts of the smart city. That's how it's going to be. See, the little people, you go over there and squat in the dark in the park, and Bill Gates and them, they go over there to the restaurant and they close off the city and make you stay in the house. That's how that works. Maybe in the future in the smart city, you'll have locks on your doors. They'll be like, automatic locks that show when you show up, and it retina scans you and sniffs your DNA. it opens the door. But maybe in the future, when Bill Gates and them show up, they'll just lock everybody's doors and just make you stay in. Make you stay in, just like a cell. Keep all that carbon inside your. Once you breathe in and out, messing up the atmosphere around the elitists.
Well, I don't know about that because it's a weird world that we live in, and you've got these Extinction Rebellion nut jobs. You've got the other protesters, and it's weird because a lot of the time now, you find that the protesters are out there shouting for the kind of programs that the globalists are talking about, implementing at the UN. And something that was really, really apparent? You used to get the whole kind of climate change conventions. We had Lord Monckton, he parachuted into one, I remember that.
Yeah, Lord Monckton.
But you know what they keep mentioning and referring to all the time? Maybe it's just because we hear it more now. Maybe they've always done it. But the World Economic Forum, dude, they're never, never slow to give that organisation a little tip of the hat, a shout out. And of course, I listened to Biden today. Biden had a very interesting time in Glasgow. Let me tell you, we made sure that Glasgow left a bit of an impression on Joe Biden, I would like to think, because one little snippet I caught, which I think worth highlighting, Joe Biden was flashed in Scotland. It wasn't a young lady flashing her happy bits. No. This was a big, bold Scotsman. Yes, President Joe Biden was confronted by a large, naked Scottish man taking his picture as he sped to the COP26 conference in Glasgow from his Edinburgh hotel. According to the White House reporters pooled report of the journey to the SEC, the president's huge motorcade was photographed by a man standing naked in the front window of a house as the convoy passed. Journalists reported at one point when we were still on smaller country roads, a large naked Scottish man stood at his front window taking a picture of the motorcade with his phone. Nothing says like freedom, does it? Nothing says freedom like being naked in your lounge, Jimmy, catching a picture of old Biden as he goes by. And listen, it was disgusting. See the motorcade this guy had? If you're looking for like carbon emissions, dang, dude.
Well, I don't know. There's all these rumors floating around, and one of them is that Greta is a 23-year-old Romanian chick that's playing a role. I don't know if it's true, but it's out there as a rumor. It must be.
I'm sure it is in the parts of the internet that you like to frequent, James. Yeah, I'm quite confident she is what she says she is.
I just find I find humor in it, and so that's why I bring it up. We kid, just like the comic dog did his kidding. But no, so I saw her doing a dance video, and it was funny because they did the Rick Roll song, Never Gonna Give You Up, and I thought it was funny. And then also today, this thing is that you've got a whole group of youth chanting blah blah blah. And it's like they're not even saying anything anymore. There is no.
No, they were chanting. I will tell you what they were chanting. They were chanting, "You can't shove your climate crisis up your." Oh, you can shove your climate crisis. Shove your climate crisis. Shove your climate crisis up your. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. And then I've got. Listen, it wouldn't be. I had to find some footage of her speaking to us. Because she's the happiest little monkey that you've ever seen, isn't she? She's always a cheery little soul, isn't she, Greta? Here we go.
Inside COP, they're just politicians and people in power pretending to take our future seriously, pretending to take the present seriously of the people who are being affected already today by the climate crisis. Change is not going to come from inside there. That is not leadership. This is leadership. This is what leadership looks like. We say no more blah, blah, blah. No more exploitation of people and nature and the planet. No more exploitation. No more blah, blah, sick and tired of it, and we're gonna make the change.
We're sick and tired of you, Greta. Yeah, I said it. Dear
Blah,
Lord.
blah, blah.
The irony, right? A couple of things. I know it's easy for me to pick on somebody when she isn't here, and she's a lot younger than me, and she's on the spectrum. But the people I should probably be picking on are her parents and the people that have groomed her for the role that they're using her in.
Mm-hmm.
And while all those crusty old psychopathic, vampiric, mostly pedophiles at the UN Climate Change Conference do their thing and wear their masks for the cameras and then rip them off and do whatever they're going to do anyway, they're laughing at everyone, folks, because in the end of the day, she is working on behalf of them. Might sound weird because she's always protesting them. She's a nice little young face that all the school kids resonate with and they're all getting programmed with. And when you listen to her, she's pushing for all the same bloody things. And it's the people manipulating her. That's I mean, damn. We shouldn't be surprised they would use a kid. They're evil.
Look, you know, she'll be just like Britney Spears or Christina Aguilera. They started out all innocent, you know. I'm a genie in a bottle or whatever. And then, you know, 5 years later, she's doing a video called Dirty where she's in a bare-knuckle boxing match in a ring after she rides in on a motorcycle and then does a lap dance for Method Man in the ring. She went from genie in a bottle to lap dance in the ring, you know, and same thing with Britney Spears. I mean, because when these role models grow up along with the generation that they're there with, then they progress in the same way that the generational children or people that they're growing up with do. But, you know, the thing about it is you're not for extinction, are you, Kev? That's the thing about it. It's like a lot of what she has to say.
Well, I don't know, Jimmy, because I'm rooting for the asteroid, so maybe you could look at it one way, yeah.
I'm just saying, a lot of what she has to say, it's like the you're not for drunk driving, are you, Kev, argument. You know, it's like, well, you don't want your rights infringed on it, but at the same time, you don't want people driving around drunk, so they put you in this
There's nothing new. That's what they've always done when it's come to this climate thing.
Yeah.
First it was the polar bears. You don't want to harm polar bears, Jimmy.
Exactly. See, there's always
You can remember a time as well. I do, when it was, remember it was leaving the fridge door open, and it was all down to like women using hairspray canisters and things like that because of the CFC gases.
Yeah.
We've seen this, we've seen quite a few chapters in the climate grift, I suppose you could call it.
Well, yeah, because this whole thing, I mean, you know, if we got we got a couple of minutes, let me just take people back.
We've got as long as you want, because it's Rebro on TFR today, so. Let's
go back in time a little bit and go back to that, to the climate conference. To the climate conference when Obama was about to be elected president. He's coming in. They had all this thing already planned out. So there was going to be this new jobs that are going to be where people were going around doing all this stuff, retrofitting things for this new green world that we were going to live in. But then when China pulled out of that conference, the whole thing started to fall apart. And that was when you had the guy, remember that video, Hide the Decline? There's like some video that came out and it was like hide the decline. And so what they were saying was there was global warming, but across the world, the temperatures had been going down. And so that they busted that guy. They made that video, Hide the Decline. That thing went viral. And then Lord Monckton made the appearance. And that whole thing started to fall apart. And so Obama's big economic boon that he thought he was going to have by putting all these people back to work never happened. So they didn't get it. And then that was when you had Al Gore was situated with this marketplace for the carbon credits. And he had a company called Blood and Gore. And that was where they had this idea that every human being has a certain amount of carbon. And different people in different parts of the world use different amounts of carbon. So how you would lift up the third world would be to allow them, people in the third world who don't have a need for their carbon footprint, to allow them to sell that carbon to somebody else who is a large, carbon user. And so the idea was they were going to lift everybody up that way, and then that's when the borders, when you can do that, that's when the borders come down. But see, they didn't get it. They couldn't do it. It didn't happen. Blood and gore fell apart. Everything changed. Then we went into what is now known as climate change. In other words, they stopped saying what the temperature was simply because, they could get caught like they did with the high to decline. And so now they say climate change because it's the same kind of an argument like the Extinction Rebellion. You're not for extinction, are you, Kev? You don't think the climate doesn't change, do you? There's no way you can argue with something called climate change, because climate changes, doesn't it? So
It does indeed. I seen something just yesterday, and it's a credit card. I think it's MasterClass. MasterCard.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're the ones that have got it. But it's tied to your carbon consumption. So once you go above a certain limit, the card will say, you've already bought X, Y, Z, and you're at your limit for the day, the week, whatever you preset it at, kind of thing.
We'll see.
So your spending getting linked to the whole carbon footprint. So it might not be the way that blood and gore had tried first time round, but there's other ways that exact kind of thinking,
It's happening
that
now.
kind of thing's coming in. Yep.
Because all of the measures that we've seen so far around this experiment and this sickness that's gone around the world, all the measures have now literally are in parallel with the green agenda. So listen, by you staying home and not working anymore, going to work, boom, you're losing no more cars on the road. Less cars. Less pollution. Less, you're not flying, pilots are quitting. Not enough flights, doesn't matter. It's, less carbon. See what I mean?
Well, let's take a look at this, Jim. Let's take a look at this. I think this is the ad here. Here we go.
In 2018, the United Nations released an urgent report emphasizing the need to cut carbon emissions in half by 2030 in order to avoid an irreversible climate crisis. The average consumer in Sweden causes around 10
Doing this is the right
tons
one.
of
I'll try and find the right one, because it's one that's actually, it shows you
Well, listen.
when they're using it. But you crack on just now, man. I'll find it.
Yeah, I'm just saying, there is a climate crisis. Okay? You have to look at it realistically. The magnetic fields of the Earth are degraded right now.
MasterCard will start informing customers.
Sorry, Jim.
No worries. But the magnetic fields of the world are degraded. Climate is changing. There hasn't been rain. Why isn't there rain where I live anymore? Why is it getting drier? Why is the Northern California starting to have more of a Southern California sort of climate to it, where it doesn't rain that much anymore up here? And so on and so forth. And the climate seems to be moving based on how the sun is and what the sun is doing. And the Earth is a natural organism, and we've grown used to the way things are, the way the wind moves, the way storms form. But we're seeing all this stuff now. Does this have to do with? I mean, how much of what's going on out there has to do with man-made interference with the actual biosphere? By trying to, and don't even have to look at it from a sinister point of view. Let's just say they see something that's real bad with this, with the way the sun is acting and the way the magnetic field is, and somehow they have to dampen that sun hitting the Earth, because if they didn't, we'd be getting scorched to death or something like that. Maybe that's why they're doing what they're doing. Who knows what the reason is? But the bottom line is, we're interfering with the natural flow of the planet with whatever we're doing. And then when you take it to the sinister level where there could be potential weather warfare type things that are going on. I mean, there was a weird fog in Moscow yesterday. People were saying it was a weird yellow fog, and they were telling each other to close the windows and put towels by the door so it didn't get in. You know, we've been looking at for this last year. I mean, we've looked at a lot of just really strange weather and climate type disasters. And it makes me wonder when they started saying all this about climate change, you know, from a scientific standpoint, from an atmospheric standpoint, and from calculations that they made calculations based on current data that at a certain point, because of the sun and because of the way that the atmosphere was, that there's going to be a degradation and climate is going to change. Like they knew it ahead of time because they're marching around saying it like, I mean, look, what's his face went up in a rocket, Captain Kirk, and he came down. I had an interview on the news, and he just blurted out this coming global catastrophe thing. It's coming global catastrophe, right? So it all ties into this same thing that's going on right where you are under the data dome. They're tying everything to this. So I mean, if we're at this extreme tipping point to where, I mean, things are about to get out of control, how much taxing or, you know, moving to electric vehicles is really going to change any of this? It really obviously does not have anything to do with man. Because they said I brought up that volcano, and the reason I did is because they said in the one day that thing was smoking, it put out, enough carbon for like a entire year for New York City or something like that. So the thing is, who pays for that, you know? So it's not a matter of being able to cover these issues with money or taxes. But I want to point out, you know, a lot of what Greta is saying, it makes sense, what she's saying. It's the agenda behind what she's saying is bad, but what she's saying isn't bad, and that's why you get put in a weird position because it's hard to argue with it. It's like, you know, look, in generations in the past, if there was a protest or people were protesting something, they had a saying, or something, you know, hell no, we won't go. In other words, you know, they're not going to do it. No justice, no peace. You know, this kind of stuff. And here you are with this next generation, and she is supposedly the forefront of the protest, and they don't have anything to say. They're all just saying, Kev, blah, blah, blah. So it's gotten to that point. It's like, it's to the point you don't even have to, you know, it's just blah, blah, blah. That's the protest. Blah, blah, blah. You know, just over and over again. Nothing ever happened. Nothing ever changes. And meanwhile, Bill Gates is over there closing down the park so he can have some sushi or whatever it was he was eating. And you're over there in the dark, locked in your apartment, under the data dome.
No, the lights are on here, dude. I'm okay. My part of town's all right. They've got the lights on here.
All right, cool. Good.
Scary enough with the lights on over here, man. But
I'm saying,
you mentioned the sun there. That was up over Inverness, the north of Scotland, just the other night. Northern Lights lighting up all green. We get it now and again, don't get me wrong. It's not like, oh, we never get them. But because we had that serious kind of space weather coming in after the CME, that was the light show that made it over to Scotland. I can only imagine what it must have looked like with my good friend Sid over in Norway, who's way further north towards the Arctic Circle than I am. But yeah, I'm watching the sun closely, Jimmy. It doesn't matter how much tax we pay to anyone on Earth. We ain't controlling what that bad boy does, and it's definitely cyclical. And yeah, it's one big grift, dude. Has been from start to finish. They rebrand it, they come back, they've got new language, they've got new propaganda. Like you say, they shift the goalposts. How can you argue with climate changing? Of course it changes. It's just, I don't buy into, as you don't, I don't buy into all the propaganda about it being all our fault. Now, that being said, We've been lousy stewards of this planet. And like Jimmy said, there's a lot of stuff that Greta says that makes sense, and there's a lot of things that we do need to do moving forward. Should have been done a long time ago. The only problem is, like Jimmy also highlighted, is that these programs, these things that are being offered to us right now, that are being rolled out, it's all within an agenda, and it's the few controlling the many. I've seen Jeff Bezos offering a couple of billion to end the whole kind of debacle. Elon Musk said, if you can prove to me that 6 billion would end world hunger, I'll sell off 6 billion worth of shares. Listen, doesn't matter how much money anyone throws at this crap. There's always going to be the few trying to control the many. And when it comes to these carbon things in particular, and that is the right video I was on, we're going to go back and play that now. This is one way that they're really going to curtail and curb what our lifestyles look like moving into the future. The more further we move forward, the more we're going to be controlled. That's what I think. Social credit systems tied to carbon footprints, you name it, they would probably love to get away with it. So I'm going to play this. It's only another minute and a half, but you'll get the drift of what I was talking about. This actually came out in 2019, but it's the same video that I seen from the other day. So here we go.
The average consumer in Sweden causes around 10 tons of carbon emissions each year, of which 60% is linked to consumption. Later in 2018, Doconomy, a Swedish fintech, took on the challenge and launched Do. The Do app is connected to a credit card that enables users to track and measure their carbon footprint from each purchase and to compensate for its impact day by day. This spring, Doconomy took its fight against climate change one step further by adding a premium credit card to its offer. But instead of introducing a premium credit card with the typical benefits that encourages further mass consumption, Doconomy did the opposite by launching Do Black, the world's first credit card with a carbon limit. Simply put, it's the first credit card ever to stop you from overspending. Not based on your available funds, but rather on the levels of CO2 emissions caused by your consumption. Do Black helps you track your climate impact and ensures that you reduce it by 50% in line with the UN 2030 recommendation.
The core purpose of Do Black is not only the ability to measure the impact of your consumption, but also bringing it to a direct halt, making it a radical tool against climate change.
For years, credit cards have put a limit on our credit. Do Black puts a limit on our impact.
Yeah, it brings it to a halt. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
It, like, machine says no more. You've got to your limit of carbon. You ain't playing no more, Jimmy. Ain't no carbon credits coming your way. Ain't no fun tokens getting dished out by the machine today, son.
No. Well, you know what? You know what we should do is we should tie this in directly with ID 2020 because MasterCard is signed on to ID 2020, and now these new smart IDs are coming into play in America. I saw some yesterday. I saw some what was on there. Sorry about that. I'm getting some messages. So
you might want to turn off your alert sound.
I know.
In Skype at some point.
I know. It's been 6 years now. You'd think I would have by now, wouldn't you?
You would.
But anyways, I forgot what I was saying there. But anyhow.
Something about your ID 2020
yeah.
American thing you were saying.
No. Yeah, but American. Well, ID 2020 is worldwide, and this is positive ID through blockchain identification. And so, all the industry's signing up to get involved with ID 2020. And it's part of this whole great reset, and it's part of this whole carbon thing. The bottom line is with carbon is not, they really don't care about carbon. What they care about is a way to tax people. So normally you have to have borders, and then within those borders you have citizens. and those citizens pay taxes to the government. And so that's why they care about who's a citizen and who isn't, because they want to make sure they get theirs, because they're going to get 30% of whatever you make for your entire life. And so that's the current system. But in order to go to the one world system where there's no borders and you can just travel around, well, that puts you in a situation, because now how are you going to tax those people? How are you going to tax all those free rangers in the third world that don't exist? They don't have phones. They don't have any of that. So you have to set some sort of an administrative type system up. And so the way to do that is to just, figure out how much carbon somebody's worth and then base it on that. And then you can just take that ID and go worldwide, man. If you're a construction worker and there's construction work in Scotland, you're building the data dome, you're a dome builder, you can just head on over there. You know what I mean? And boom, you'll be in the system, and there'll be I'm sure there'll be like the way they'll work it out is it will be a value added tax. So there won't be, taxes like we're used to. It'll be more like when you get taxed when you buy something. So if you don't buy anything, you don't get taxed. So that's the smartest way to really do that anyway, don't you think? But, then again, the taxes will probably be, expensive because they'll be tied to this other carbon thing. It's a vicious cycle. But, it all ties together. The data dome, the blockchain human, and, the new... metaverse that we're going to be in, where we can, have augmented reality glasses and walk down the street and see there's a sale over at the local boulangerie or whatever, and go get ourselves a loaf of bread over there, Kev. Maybe if it doesn't take up too much carbon. I don't know. Loaf of bread might be $50 in the future.
Digital bread.
Exactly. Or you could have cricket bread, and then that's way cheaper.
Yeah, that's what I was saying to the taxi driver the other day. He was telling me how parts of the city, the taxi drivers, they're not going anywhere near it. That's all over in the West End, the posh end, funnily enough. Not the East End where I am. And he was saying there was police up from the north of Scotland all the way down through England, all the various police forces up here. But definitely one rule for them, and another rule for everyone else that lives in Glasgow right now. No surprise there, though, folks. No surprise at all.
So,
and I was saying to the taxi driver, I was saying, these buggers will not be happy. They just won't be happy until we're literally eating insect burgers and they're sitting chomping down on a tomahawk steak. I thought the taxi driver was going to go off the road laughing. But he totally agreed. And it's just crazy. It's almost like they flaunt it as well. It's like in your face. Do you know what I mean? That big motorcade that they've got with the American president, who I believe has now left the conference. He was just in for a couple of days. I don't believe he wet himself or made any mistakes in the toilet front like I heard he was doing over with the Pope. I think it all went well. I was watching him today hoping that he would slip up. There was a moment when he mentioned Prince Charles and the brilliant work he's been doing, putting together a network. And at that point, I wanted to turn the volume down. Because a network of what? Prince Charles? I mean, network of children, funnels, vampiric castles. I tell you, Jimmy, it was comedy gold.
Right.
But no, it was all of the sterling work they're doing together to save the planet, Dear Lord, man. Like Greta said, blah, blah, blah. And Boris Johnson, he's just... to think that man runs a country, I tell you, folks, if you were ever in any doubt that these people are just placeholders, just suits, just here today, gone tomorrow. I don't want to call them actors because that's got different connotations, but these people are puppets. And take a look at Boris Johnson. That guy ain't running nothing. The guy's an absolute buffoon, but he looks like he's well signed up to the Licking Bill Gates Shoe Club. Mr. Jeans, yes.
Dude.
Speaks very adoringly of Uncle Bill.
What happened to people? Don't you remember? Anybody remember what it used to be like? Remember the battle in Seattle? How are they having these kind of conferences like this and there's no...
Oh, well, listen now, Jimmy, listen. I'll tell you this, look at this here. They did manage to close down Glasgow's infamous Squinty Bridge. we've got a bridge that looks like the architect must have had a squint in his eye. Because it kind of goes all kind of twisted. It's like a cool thing. It's modern art. It's horrendous, but it's the squinty bridge.
Yeah.
Well, they managed to close that down, Jimmy.
No.
Yes, they did.
And so-
They managed to attack, was it a JP Morgan as well, I think they got near? I think they might have got near a JP Morgan at some point.
That's what I'm saying.
That actually shocked me, the fact that they were for once targeting an establishment that actually is a part of the problem. Usually you find them doing in the windows of shops, like just like stores that have got nothing to do with being big corporations.
Shit,
and all
I'm just
these,
imagining a bunch of.
you know what I'm saying?
I'm just imagining a bunch of Scottish dudes all pissed off with baseball bats running around in kilts, knocking people in the head. I mean,
Well, I know outside London, there was people like super gluing themselves to roads and things, and the general public were just they had enough, man, and they were starting to rip them off the roads, and it was kind of a bit leery. And I'm kind of torn because I wish I was a fighting fit young man again. I'd be out there filming what I could, seeing what's going on in amongst the madness. I would, because I hear the helicopters every day now circling what's going on in the town. But then when I look online and I see some of the craziness, it's all these weirdos in like full red dresses, and they're doing all this like creeping around, and there's something really quite macabre and sinister to all. It's almost like a death cult.
Well, I'll just say this, man. You know, they always, when they don't want you to go do something, they always show you the extreme. Like here in America, if you think you want to go protest, they're going to show you a bunch of people like with rainbow afro wigs on, white face, clown paint, holding some sign or whatever. You're like, nah, I don't think so. I don't want to go get involved in that. You know, so they always pick these extreme examples when they go do the crowd pan. Or if it's something that they want you to protest and they want you to go down there, then they make it look worth your while on the news. And they run it over and over again and get you all hyped up. You're like, yeah, forget this, man. I'm going down there. You know, that's just how quick it happens. You're just sitting there watching TV, and then all of a sudden...
Well, look at this. I mean, we want like an old dude playing like a little triangle thing, and what's this changing? What are they protesting? What?
That doesn't look like the movie Braveheart, man.
No, it certainly isn't. It's no Braveheart there, no.
Where's your Mel Gibson, man? Isn't there anybody?
He's actually... funny you should mention that. He's coming back to Scotland to speak at a black tie event at one of our swanky galleries here in Glasgow rather soon. There you go. I think it's at some point this month. You can have a dinner. You can have a dinner with Mel Gibson.
You should go to it, man. Get in your car.
The world's most famous Australian Scotsman.
Jump in your ride, man. Jump in your car.
They don't make Australian Scotsmen like that anymore, eh?
No. Jump in your car, go down there, and say hello.
I've not got my car yet, dude. I've not got it yet. I'm still waiting, man.
Oh, man. It's coming. It's coming. But maybe it'll be there in time. You can go there. It'll be like Cinderella, man. You go over there to see Mel Gibson. He'll be gone. You'll run away.
Mel Gibson would give me the look. He'd be like, well, no way. Can I have your autograph? Your Kev Baker show. Of course, Mel.
And you go, no, I gotta go.
The conspiracy guy that he is, right?
You're like, no, I gotta go, and you run away. But behind you leave one of your tennis shoes, and Mel Gibson picks it up, and somehow he finds you in Scotland under the Data Dome, and he knocks on the door. Kev Baker.
Follows the ones and zeros to my house, dude. Yeah.
Mel Gibson.
Nice security could have like a promo about it.
I actually have
a Mel Gibson could be like the face of nice security, and how they can track everyone in the city so they can get that lost shoe back to exactly who it needs to get to, Jimmy.
I actually have a personal story about Mel Gibson. I'll share.
You can't just say that. You have to share it now. You can't just say you've got one.
No, I'll totally share it. I'll totally share it. But I just got to say, so like, you know, when you've seen this videos of Mel Gibson on the side of the road, pissed off and yelling and stuff, that's really how he is. So when I was living down in Hollywood, I was down there trying to, you know, do stuff in the business or whatever. But at the same time, I had to work. So I was doing telecommunications, and I was running jobs at Warner Brothers Studios in Burbank. And so
every time I hear that, I think bareback. Sorry, I went there.
You
Sorry,
could. I
sorry.
mean, yeah, no, Weinstein's offices were in there. So a bunch of people rent offices inside the studios area. You know, they have places where you could rent. It's a giant property, man. Literally, it's just unbelievable what's there. And because I was doing this work, you know, I had access to the whole studio. I had a golf cart. I just cruise around. And I had all these different jobs going in all these different buildings. And one of the buildings that they were redoing and they were putting new communication stuff in was when you're under contract to Warner Brothers or to one of these other production companies that are on the property, they have these little office spaces that they give the actors. They get little office space. So I mean, this goes back even to James Dean and all those guys and Dennis Hopper and them. They all had these little spaces on Warner Brothers, but they used to sit up there drinking tea and smoking weed. But Mel Gibson had an office up there. And so we were doing some work, and I had some crews up there that were pulling cable in the ceilings. And when you move these ceiling tiles to put the cable in the ceiling, there's this the ceiling tiles are made of this stuff, and this white stuff falls off. It's like this dust. It's barely even noticeable. But for whatever reason, Mel Gibson came in the next day after the work had gotten done, and then called, and so. He got a hold of the guy that owned the company that I work for, and he wanted the person who was in his office fired because they got white dust on his desk and they didn't clean it off.
This is like we listened to that tape that you brought to the table of Alec Baldwin the other day.
Yeah.
I'm noticing a bit of a kind of trend here, man. These big stars,
they
they've
get
all got
pissed.
a bit of an attitude problem, right?
They get pissed, man, and then when they cop an attitude, man, they want action right now, and so that kid got fired, man. That was in there. You know, he got fired. You know, and you know, just cause or whatever. He didn't obviously clean up after himself. But
would you like me to have a word with Mel when he visits my fine city?
Yeah, tell him that kid. He ruined that kid's life that day for making him get fired.
Well, more to the point, I'll say you've incurred the wrath of Jimmy Jeans. I'll say you might not remember Jimmy Jeans, but Jimmy Jeans remembers you.
Well, dude, you know, it's an interesting world we live in, man. You know, people do get upset. And,
why don't we ask the Blue Hats to arrest him? Literally, we could get the UN to take him into custody, because I'm not even joking, folks. Listen to this, okay? There's inside COP26 Blue Zone at the United Nations Climate Conference in Glasgow. It says leaders from across the world will attend the COP26, or COP Out 26 as I call it, climate conference today after the summit officially got underway yesterday. SEC is playing host to the crucial UN gathering, which will take place from October 31st to November the 12th. Around 30,000 delegates, journalists and heads of state. And when they say journalists, they ain't meaning alt media, folks. A very mainstream flavour to it. Mm-hmm. Sky News, the head of Sky News, was actually hosting one of the UN panels today. That shows you how in bed the media are with these people. They're meant to be holding to account. Where did it all go wrong? They'll be at the SEC for the conference, which, with the vast majority of discussions to take place in the Blue Zone. The Blue Zone is managed by the UN. Yes, indeed. So, Jimmy, all these years we've been talking about the blue helmets turning up in America. I never seen them coming. They sneaked up and took a little bit of part of Glasgow when I was sleeping.
Well, I don't know, man.
Those blue ass hats, man.
You're in a international zone. So, I mean, you know, you'll...
World Order Zone. New World Order Zone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so I think, you know, these data domes will have extreme speed pipes that network those smart cities to the other smart cities on the network. You know, so this way the blockchain humans can be tracked, traced, and taxed 24/7. We know exactly where everybody is because, I mean, you know, we have to know. And this way, if we can keep track of everyone, then we can make sure they don't get out of control with all their consumption needs. You know, because the people that are going to be doing the consuming, there's going to be the haves and the have-nots. It's just like, remember Wall Street? Remember that protest?
Occupy Wall Street.
Yeah, and at the beginning, remember, it was everybody together, man. It was all the groups. They all said, you know what? Let's put aside our differences and let's find our similarities, man. And let's get together on this. And, it, you know, that was really doing something. But, you know, then stuff happened, you know. So I think we're at a point where it really is that, you know, it really is. You remember the movie, the silent movie Metropolis, where they had the workers and the thinkers. You know, that's where we're at. The Bill Gates and all them, they're gonna go over there, sit under the Data Dome, and eat steaks and do the thinking. And everybody else will be over there with the broom, cleaning up the mess after they leave. And a few people will bang some drums and jump around in the middle of the street. But I don't think there's gonna be a Braveheart moment going on over there.
No, maybe the naked guy taking pictures of Joe Biden. Maybe that was as close as we're going to get to our Braveheart moment.
Well, I saw some European young people have now figured out how to beat the facial recognition software, and they're actually they're painting geometric shapes on their face, like makeup. So you know, different shapes like triangles and different stuff. It's pretty interesting. I don't know if you've noticed it, but you should look it up. It's pretty cool. So there's a way. So the young people are figuring out a way to beat the facial recognition with makeup. So you know, don't be surprised if you start seeing a bunch of people walking around.
Yeah, but and that's all very well, right? But then you've got physical cops still who will see that makeup and go, right, come here, you. What are you all about? Do you know what I'm saying?
Well, it's not against the law to wear makeup now, is it?
Well, I'm pretty sure if they figure out the young ones are doing this to get around facial recognition, you can probably guess it'll be in an upcoming crime bill.
If anybody is going to stop the New World Order, it's going to be the young people, man. Because they have a mastery over the technology more than any other.
But they open all of their mobile phones with their facial recognition and things. You know, it's easier to get them into the technology.
Yeah.
That it takes to kind of
they're all
to build the system on, you know.
And they seem like they're all finding ways to beat the technology and make money for doing nothing. Man, there are so many millionaire young people that are using the internet to just literally just get rich, literally overnight. So there's a lot of ways, you know, and that's what I'm saying. The generations that are coming up now, because they're handed a iPad or a cell phone in their crib or whatever, they're already, by the time you're 7 years old, you know, look at how much information you could see. You remember that movie Fifth Element, and the movie with you know, the piece of DNA, and then they rebuild the fifth element, and then the fifth element bashes her way out and escapes. And then there's a moment where she comes to this dude who's the keeper of the flame, the holder of the key, who's waiting for the fifth element to show up. And she goes to his house and she gets something to eat. And she sits down in front of his computer. And as she sits there, she like absorbs all the information off the internet that's there about the world and what's happened, and, you know, the wars and the pain and the killing and all this. You know, and it's a powerful moment in the movie, but it's like that, right? So, you know, we have a world that's you know, completely and utterly out of control, and you know, so somehow it has to be under control, and so that's the big issue, is nobody knows how to control it without it turning into what it is, which is a corrupt cesspool of nothing but when the world exists to make more money, to have profit, then if we're in a capitalist world, unfortunately, anything goes at that point. Because if you got enough money, you can make anything happen. And there's nothing wrong with that, because that's the thing that's venerated and held up as being called success, is if you have a lot of money. So if you have money, you can do anything. And if you can, you know, and everyone wants to have money because they can be able to do anything and get away with anything. If you and I did 1/10 of the stuff that people just do and just go, oh, yeah, I did it. You and I, we'd be in prison. Look at those people that protested, man. They're still, what about a speedy trial? No, they're still they're being held like I don't even know how to describe it. So I mean, what are we gonna do about it? That's the issue.
Jimmy, there's a message from today's sponsor.
Mm-hmm.
So what are you going to do about it? Nothing? Sweet Fanny Adams, is it?
I come on, dude. When you were saying all that, I thought to myself, Bakshi's got Jimmy's back on this one.
He does, because listen, the thing is like all we can do is control what our own selves and our own sphere of influence, right? So I mean, other than that, we don't. These things are so far out of our reach. I mean, there's nothing. Even the rag dolls that they hold up as the people that we should hate, the Bill Gates, the Hillary Clintons, the Joe Bidens, all this stuff. Those people are really inconsequential to the overall critical path of where the Earth has to go, because there's a plan, and everything that happens around it is just incidental. You know what I mean? So somebody was saying the other day, man, the trailblazers are the guys laying in the dirt with the arrows in their back. You know what I mean? They're dead. So we're in a weird spot because, on one hand, we have all this technology at our disposal, and we could live in a literal utopia where everything would basically run itself. I mean, it's to that point where you could set things up to basically run itself. But we're in a world where profit is what everybody's seeking. They want to make more and more money. At what point? How much is enough?
You're saying this here, though. You think about it as well, Jimmy, right? I think it sounds weird, but I think they want the whole world to get angry about the capitalist system, about the greed, about the distance between the haves and the have-nots. And I'll say the reason that they want that, it's the whole problem, reaction, solution thing again, isn't it? Because I think eventually, in one vision of their utopia, there will just be one thing making a decision at the top. And it'll be totally unbiased, Jimmy, right? Because they'll just put it down to the AI. A fairer system, there'll be no human input. We'll have this all singing, all dancing AI that watches all aspects of your life. Mm-hmm. It'll be all fair. It'll make sure everyone gets their fair share.
Mm-hmm.
Only we know that, like you say, it could work. It should work. We've got the tools at our fingertips to be able to do this. And then you have to ask, is it something that's inbuilt in our DNA that means some are flawed and they're always going to seek to just take advantage of other people, to stand on them on the way up, to not give a crap about them? It's almost as if it's like part of the coding, dude, that the few will rule over the many. And as being one of the many, we're far too willing to say, yeah, just let somebody else take care of it. And that's why we always go to elections hoping the next guy that's going to take care of it's going to do better than the last one,
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like it's built into the system. So, I don't know, it's hard to put into words what I'm trying to say without sounding totally defeatist, which I'm not. But when you look back over time, it's always been a few ruling the many, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, there's really these two companies, BlackRock and Vanguard, pretty much own everything. And when I say they own everything, I mean everything. So it doesn't matter what money you make in a salary, they get it all back out of you. Every time you spend a dime, it goes right back to the same place. And it's funny because realistically, it is a giant company store model. We are in a model that provides us with credit so we can buy things we don't have the money for, that puts us on a rat wheel. Let's pretend you're on a rat wheel and you're running on it, and while you're running on it, you're making electricity to charge up Bill Gates's Tesla. So you're just each person runs on that rat wheel to go ahead and power up some electric car for somebody. You know what I mean? Because we spend our lives devoting ourselves and our life energy into making money so that we can live and exist. And I mean, realistically, if you were to really think about it, it doesn't take a whole lifetime worth of work to put yourself in a position to be self-sustaining by your own contributions. Seriously. Literally, you can build your own house on a piece of land, get yourself some animals, grow yourself some crops, put yourself a family together, have some children. This is the way that it's been done. And once you've established a house and a place to grow your food and have a family, you cease to really need to spend money anymore out in the system to buy shit. The thing is we've been taken away from knowing how to provide for ourselves, how to heal ourselves with plants that we find around our home, how to build a house, how to plant a garden, how to raise animals. These were things that we all learned in the past, but those things have been now systematically taken out of our sphere of knowledge and been replaced with the idea that I need to take a $10 bill and give it to this guy so that he'll grow me that vegetable. And that's a big problem, because now we put ourselves in a position to be completely and utterly dependent on a system for our existence. If that system was to go away right now, 90% of the population would not be able to do anything about it, provide for themselves. And, it would just degrade until everybody, eventually stole everything or killed each other. Because that'd be the only way to survive. Because there's no other way to come at the problem at that point. When you think about living in a city, in an urban environment, every single person that lives in that city is living in an apartment, paying rent, and blah, 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 blah. Each person in that city exists because somebody else in that city spent money. If people in that city stop spending money, then businesses close. And that means now the guy that worked there, he doesn't have money to spend into the system either. So now the other guy was spending money at that store. He quit. He's not spending money there anymore. Now this guy, he loses his job. He doesn't have money. He's not spending money anymore. He's not paying the rent anymore. He's not going down to the local bar, spending $30 a week or whatever. Local bar business goes down. Every single time someone loses their job, it's less money that comes into the system. And so so now you're in a big giant place where there's no resources to live off of. The only way to live is to take money and exchange it for your existence. And so if you don't have a way to generate money, you're effed. And so we're there, man. We are in the have and the have-nots. And that's the thing, is that's why they got people of color inflamed against white people, as though white people are the problem. And that isn't the problem. The problem is that they don't want everybody to get together, people of color, everybody to get together to say, listen, there's more of us than there is of you. So what is that at the magic moment when that happens? Is that the big moment where, they pull the plug on it? I don't know, man.
Well, all I would say is keep an eye on Scotland, folks. I said that to you before, Jimmy. You've agreed.
Yeah, man.
Australia is another place. But, of course, most eyes on the world looking at Glasgow right now with COP26 being on. They're not seeing the true Glasgow where the refuse collections have been garbage, pardon the pun, lately. Down in Glasgow's south side where Nicola Sturgeon's own constituency is riddled with rats. Don't worry about that because we're all green and friendly in Glasgow. Or at least that's the view that the world's politicians will be getting shown as they're toured around the city in their motorcades and everything else. But another announcement that came in Scotland just before all of this kicked off, worth paying attention to. It's just a data point, folks. Keep it in your mind. Like I say, watch what happens in Scotland because our first run with independence, I'll never forget when Alex Salmond, it was one of his selling points that we would become one of the beta testers for globalist programs before they roll out anywhere else. And Nicola Sturgeon, since she's taken over, she absolutely loves the EU. She loves the whole global agenda. And that's why I say you got to really pay attention, because sometimes they try things here before they roll them out elsewhere. Maybe this is just another one. Scotland unveils basic income plans as COP26 style conference kicks off. Says Scottish ministers have launched a consultation on creating a minimum income guarantee as Glasgow hosts the world's biggest universal basic income conference. So there you go. We were hosting the world's biggest universal basic income conference. That's something that's been talked about for a few years now. Something that's had more conversations connected to the Great Reset. I heard that language at COP26 today. Biden building back better, Boris building back better. They're all building back better. As if they're all singing from the same hymn sheet, because they are. It just says here, Scotland has launched plans to create a form of universal basic income in the country to reduce poverty, because who can be against reducing poverty, right? And inequality. Just a day before Glasgow is set to host a global conference on the progressive idea. And folks, Jimmy, I'm not against money being dished out to people. I'm not against that part of it. But it's the fact that that's in a way where they want us, very much dependent on the government teat for the shekels that they throw our way, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, I was listening to this Buddhist monk, and he was making a distinction between poverty and suffering. And he said that poverty is a distinct lack of money. So you see this campaign around the world to end poverty. He said you will never end poverty, because poverty is lack of money. But suffering is something that's completely different. And he said where he comes from, they don't call it poverty because people don't have anything already. So it's not poverty there. What's called suffering. And so when you're in a position and you're suffering, you go to the temple where the monks are, and there's food there. Everyone brings they bring food to the monks. The monks can only eat so much food, and what's left over, there's something left over. So if you don't have anything and you can't eat, you can go to the temple and eat some food there or whatever. So
I could see me and you doing that if we had the money, Jim. Me and you up in some Tibetan mountain, sitting cross-legged, all meditation things going on, man, achieving oneness with the universe. I can see us, dude. Yeah. Well,
if you're gonna do it, I would say Mongolia is a good place to go. But before you go there, you don't even have to go there. But you can see that what I'm saying actually. For me, because I heard the guy say this, it's for me what you're saying is resonating with this idea that poverty is not the same thing as suffering. So even though you may have money, you can still be suffering because you don't have enough money. So what they're saying is they want to eliminate poverty in Scotland, so they're going to give everybody money. But that is not going to alleviate the suffering in Scotland or change any of the issues.
It'll buy alcohol, Jim. It'll buy alcohol.
There you go. Well, there you go. And, who knows? Maybe you'll end up seeing a Braveheart moment with all that extra alcohol flowing. It's flowing everywhere. People are drinking. I don't know, man. The thing is, at some point,
the younger generations are a little too woke to produce any true Braveheart individuals, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know, man. It's wild.
More snowflake than Braveheart.
Yeah, no, there's no snowflakes in Braveheart. That's true. That's true.
There we go. Bobby Trizzle sending the cheers.
Hey, what's
Thank
up,
you
Bobby?
very much, Bobby Trizzle.
Good to meet you, Bobby. Good night to see you.
Yeah. So what else has been happening in the world of Jimmy, man? We've done over an hour on Cop Out 26. I feel like I need a shower after talking about all that shenanigans.
I know.
What else has been happening in the land of Jim?
Well, I don't know, man. It's been last couple of weeks. It's been a pretty heavy week.
You look like you've been a passenger in your own life, the way you said that there. Just holding on tight here, trying not to let go, you know.
I
Hanging
know.
by a dime and
Well,
Dreamer region.
it's like a white knuckling situation at some points here in California, on the West Coast of America. You know, things are
all set for the dark winter, man. That's us there now. We're in November. Black Pill October's gone. I need to get rid of that. We're into hashtag dark winter. Yeah.
Well, I think we're heading into a situation now. I'm not a big turkey eater, you know, so I mean, I could care less how much turkeys cost. You know, I buy a turkey at Thanksgiving and I use it to make dog food with. You know, I feed my dog for the next 3 months with it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not a big turkey.
That thing stops barking and it's clucking for the first couple of months of the year, right?
Plus, you got those big old drumsticks on there. You know, dogs love a drumstick.
You know, Americans just do everything so much bigger, dude. Our ovens wouldn't take the size of turkeys you guys roast over there.
That's what I mean. You know, see, now you guys over there, what are you going to have, a game hen? Like a Cornish game hen?
We usually have a bit of turkey. Come on, we're civilized over here, man.
I'm just messing with you. No.
I actually tend to go for the joint of roast beef on Christmas. That's my favourite, Jim.
Oh, yeah,
like
there you go.
Nice bit of succulent beef. Whoa.
So it'll be nice and rare.
Well,
what do you put?
Medium rare. Medium rare.
Now, do the Scottish people, are they big fans of the potato?
Yeah, we like our potatoes. Yeah,
I mean,
much as anyone else.
Like Irish people, the potato is like a mainstay. You know, you got to have a potato.
Yeah, we like our tatties, as we call them.
Yeah.
Yes.
I see.
Yeah.
Well, now let me ask you this question: can you just open up a crisp stand on the side of the road? You just take and, you know, open up like a sandwich store or like a.
Oh, you need to get red tape, man. We're in the land of bureaucracy. You'd have to go through the council for that.
Oh, now see now. I don't know.
You'd probably need to go through Disclosure Scotland, because you're going to come into contact with young people, so they want to make sure that you have not done anything in the past.
Oh, I see.
Which is a good thing.
Oh, that is a good thing. That is a good thing. Well,
yeah.
I don't know, man. I say turkey is out this year. Crickets are in.
Dry for me, the turkey, man.
They got these new turkey-shaped cricket pastes that you can put in the oven.
Not turkeys made of crickets. Surely not.
Yeah. It looks just like a turkey, only it's smaller, and then it's made of crickets. When you put it in the oven, it raises and it inflates to look just like a turkey.
Nah, this is where it gets all wrong. It's like those Impossible burgers.
Dude,
you know, it's like, nah. I like meat in my meat, not insect substitutes.
Okay, listen, I'm gonna do a callback right now and see if you can remember. What was the name of that video that True Stream Media had brought out about this? I want to call it Peopleopolis, but it wasn't that. But it was like something of a future city where it's like, oh, it's your birthday today. You could have some meat. And luckily your dad works at the da-da-da-da-da-da, and there's a meat credit or whatever. Do you remember what that video was? It was like a cartoon, and it was like a future city cartoon.
Yeah, Plandopolis.
Plandopolis, exactly, man. Yeah, there S90s in here said, yeah, Plandopolis. You got it, man. Yeah, that was funny, right, back then? Or ordering a pizza in the future. Remember that one? Well,
I'll dig one of them just now. I'll dig one up. I'll dig up a Plandopolis.
Yeah, and ordered.
There's a couple of them, you know.
Yeah, and ordered a pizza in the future. It's like, oh well, hi Kev, how you doing? Oh well, see here that you're in a yellow zone. We're gonna have to add 20%.
Well, let me shove this one on because this is kind of apt in Glasgow right now.
Hell yeah!
Like I say, I tried to travel to the hospital just yesterday. It was crazy. Diversions here, diversions there. And we're in the smart city, right? Traffic lights are meant to reroute things because it's intelligent sensors and they can sense congestion in one part of the city. Blah, 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 as Greta says. I can't believe I'm quoting Greta, not once but twice. But this is called Mega Cities on the Move. There's a number of these videos were put together. If memory serves me correctly, it was something to do with the BBC. Like, here's this one, and then I'll find the one that Jimmy was talking about your day in the smart city. It's horrendous. But here's the transport one.
Hi. I'm so glad you're on time. I'm V. I'm looking forward to showing you around Plandopolis today.
And doesn't V look like they're like strung out on the strong SRI type drugs and that kind of very woke look about them?
She looks like her name might be Karen too.
Karen, that's it. We'll call her. We're rechristening her Karen. There we go.
Hey. My husband works from home. He's a virtual engineer working on one of the city's desalination plants. He controls the robots who do all the important maintenance. I think he basically plays computer games for a living. You ready to go? Have you got your calorie card open on your smartphone? I registered your visit with Slick Travel Corp the other day, so they've allotted you a journey time to match mine. It makes so much sense, doesn't it? Switch off brain and go to work. With this many people around, I'm glad there's a mega computer in charge. We're so lucky. Our kids were allocated a school quite near my practice, so I can drop them off on the way. It saves on our calorie ration. Well, it won't be long until the little darlings get their career announcements. They've been working so hard, so I'm sure they'll get something good. Not that there's anything wrong with fixing carbon scrubbers for a living or anything. Are you hungry? Let's pop to the market as we're past. Right, what's on the menu this month? No, not meat. It's not your birthday. The Global Food Council are doing a really good job of keeping food production going. I mean, you don't get the choice you used to, but we're better off than most. Probably easiest to walk from here. You barely see a car in the city centre nowadays, unless you're rich. Well, the state knows they just aren't practical anymore. We're all trying to meet our global carbon deal. Electric bikes are so much better for getting around our neighbourhood. And why waste valuable space on car parks when you can use them to grow food? I don't care what you say, Alex. They don't deserve to live in that ghetto. They are completely disconnected. No high-speed transport system, no new internet. They miss out on jobs and many essential services too. Oh, hi again. What a day. I had to make an emergency visit to the Cry Freedom ghettos. I mean, I miss my sister like mad, but I'm glad they went when they were moved to New Amsterdam. They're safe from climate change on the floating city. That must be her now. It's much easier to meet up with friends virtually now. So many cities have banned cars in central areas. Ooh, looks like she's got some juicy gossip.
Yeah, is that what awaits the... Let's make it really topical for today's world. Is that what awaits the unvaccinated? Try Freedom City?
Dude,
Will we only be able to meet with me and Jimmy since we're on separate sides of one that did and one that didn't? Will we be resorting to having to meet virtually in the Metaverse because we can no longer physically hook up anymore?
Why would you?
Yep.
Why would you want to come out of the Metaverse, dude? We just watched the video, the Zuckerberg presentation the other night, and Rio did reverse speech on it, dude. And I swear to you're not even gonna believe what is being said.
You know, dude, there's enough to worry about with Metaverse with his forward speech without going into the
I know, but it's even funnier because there's a lot of congruencies in reverse that are really interesting. But above and beyond that, what we were talking about was that the way this looks now is nothing like it's going to look in the future. 5 years from now, with everybody developing on it, and it starts to become that second world, that mirror world, the world where you could live in a 4-foot PVC pipe with a strong internet connection, with a common kitchen down the hall, and sit in there in your headset and never leave the virtual world. Jump in your Ferrari, pick from your wardrobe on the wall. You know, I mean, it's just
like you're living in Grand Theft Auto.
Exactly.
Ready Player One goes live. You listen to a bit of the video. I'm going to play a minute or so of it here. This is what Jimmy's talking about, in case you missed it. Here we go.
Hey, they're saying you're muted in Discord.
With all the scrutiny and public debate, some of you might be wondering why we're doing this right now. The answer is that I believe that we're put on this earth to create.
There you go.
I believe that technology can make our lives better, and I believe that the future won't be built on its own. It will be built by those who are willing to stand up and say, this is the future we want, and I'm going to keep pushing and giving everything I've got to make this happen. I know that some people will say that this isn't a time to focus on the future. And I want to acknowledge that there are important issues to work on in the present. There always will be. So for many people, I'm just not sure there ever will be a good time to focus on the future. I also know that there are a lot of you who feel the same way that I do. We live for what we're building, and while we make mistakes, we keep learning and building and moving forward. So for all of you who share these values, I dedicate today to you. In my mind, you're the heroes in our society who push the world forward. And as long as I'm running this company, I will do my best to celebrate this spirit and absolutely go for it.
So we'll be able to do a show, and you and I will be sitting in the living room together.
Hey, and welcome to Connect. Today, we're going to talk about the Metaverse. I want to share what we imagine is possible, the experiences you'll have, the creative economy we'll all build, and the technology that needs to be invented, as well as how we're going to all do this together. The basic story of technology in our lifetimes is how it's given us the power to express ourselves and experience the world with ever greater richness. Back when I started Facebook, that mostly meant text that we typed on computers. Then we all got phones with cameras, and the internet became much more visual. And recently, as connections got faster, video has become the main way that we experience content. We've gone from desktop to web to phones, from text to photos to video, but this isn't the end of the line. The next platform and medium will be even more immersive, an embodied internet where you're in the experience, not just looking at it. And we call this the Metaverse. And you're going to be able to do almost anything you can imagine. Get together with friends and family, work, learn, play, shop, create, as well as entirely new categories that don't really fit how we think about computers or phones today. Now, since we're doing this remotely today, I figured let's make this special. So we've put together something that I think is really going to give you a feeling for what this future could be like. We believe the Metaverse will be the successor to the mobile internet. We'll be able to feel present, like we're right there with people, no matter how far apart we actually are. We'll be able to express ourselves in new, joyful, completely immersive ways. And that's going to unlock a lot of amazing new experiences. When I send my parents a video of my kids, they're going to feel like they're right in the moment with us, not peering through a little window. When you play a game with your friends, you'll feel like you're right there together in a different world, not just on your computer by yourself. And when you're in a meeting in the Metaverse, it'll feel like you're right in the room together, making eye contact, having a shared sense of space, and not just looking at a grid of faces on a screen. That's what we mean by an embodied internet. Instead of looking at a screen, you're going to be in these experiences. Everything we do online today, connecting socially, entertainment, games, work, is going to be more natural and vivid. This isn't about spending more time on screens. It's about making the time that we already spend better. Screens just can't convey the full range of human expression and connection. They can't deliver that deep feeling of presence. But the next version of the internet can. That's what we should be working towards. Technology that's built around people and how we actually experience the world and interact with each other. That's what the metaverse is all about. Now, the best way to understand the metaverse is to experience it yourself, but it's a little tough because it doesn't fully exist yet. Some of the basic building blocks are here, though, and others are starting to emerge as we speak. We're starting to get a sense of how it could all come together and what it could feel like. So today we're going to do something a little bit different. Rather than just focusing on this year's products like a normal keynote, we're going to talk about the future. So let's start by exploring what different kinds of metaverse experiences could feel like, starting with the most important experience of all, connecting with people. Look at this place, it's awesome.
Right? It's from a creator I met in LA.
This place is amazing.
Boz, is that you?
Can't lie, it's going to be cool when we do the show like that, Jimmy.
I know. I'll tell you right now. And you listen, the thing, Epic Journeyman is actually an expert in virtual reality. He's a beta tester. He has like 10 different headsets, and he was saying that this technology that they're going to be offering to people for almost nothing is super high-end, state-of-the-art stuff, man. So this is only going to get better and better as time goes on. So, I mean, I know there's not a doubt in my mind, just like none of us got rid of our cell phones. I still drink Cokes. You know what I mean? We're going to get into virtual reality. I'll stop at McDonald's every now and then, even though I know everything. I'm just saying, it's just the way it is. We got to live in the world, man. Sometimes you just can't eat organic. You got to have fast food. Sometimes you're going to need to get in virtual reality. And I think on some level, when you can just go in there and it's literally like Grand Theft Auto, and you have this thing called Earth 2 that we talked about a while back, which is people are literally buying property in a non-existent second Earth. And companies are setting up advertising and buying space in this new Earth 2. So you think you combine Earth 2 with Mirror World and the iconic representation of the world, that we have a avatar somewhere that exists that does what we do based on our internet experiences, at the point that you can play a video game and it will render as you think it. You see what I mean? It'll literally render reality in front of your very eyes as you think it by reading your brain scans. But I mean, the augmented reality aspect of it really makes that. Remember the movie They Live, where it was like there's underlying messages under everything. Well, Epic Journeyman was saying that one of the main things that they're going to be giving you when they give you that super high-end headset for almost nothing, they get to scrape the data off that, and they're going to learn stuff about us that really, I mean, it's unprecedented, the amount of direct pipeline to our brains, what we think, and on all this. I mean, like I say, as these years move forward, the next 5 years, I think it'll grow fast, really fast.
It's naive for anyone out there to think that this was not going to happen. Mm-hmm. And that's not me championing it. I mean, I'm quite excited about seeing how it all kind of, the infrastructure takes shape and what it does look like 5 years from now.
Yeah.
And that's absolutely, Jimmy nailed it there. Give away the free headset. I imagine it'll end up being free lenses as well. Uh-huh. Because you're the product. You're the one that they're going to be taking the data from, and then they can make the money that way. They can make more money that way than they ever could in selling you a headset that's going to work for 1 year, exactly. 2 years, however often you need to update it. You're the product in that whole scenario. And like I said, with Black Mirror, they done an episode on this before, and the way the concept in that was, you had an app on your phone, and you opened up the app, and then you tapped a little. It was like a battery, a clock battery you stuck on your temple, Jim.
Yeah.
And you just kind of tapped it, and you were away in there, and it was like a fighting game. It was like Tekken. The two of them were playing Tekken. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
but Ready Player One. That's another kind of good way of thinking about what this metaverse might end up looking like. And like Jimmy said himself, and because we're so early on here, who knows what it's going to end up looking like? Because there's so many companies that put their stamp on it right now, trying to see how they can utilize it to optimize their business models in it. And again, as somebody that's always liked tech, I want to say I'm excited about seeing what that looks like. But at the same time, I'm not to the point of blinded at the fact that this could be used to ultimately control us even more, because if we're not doing jobs out there in the real world as the robots roll out, maybe we'll have our online little roles and jobs that we can do. Sounds crazy, but I think that's closer to where we're going, you know?
You know what happened is that in this particular demonstration, what happens is there's a guy, he's working from home, and he's all alone in his lair. And he decides now he's got to go to work. It's time to go to work. And so he sits down at his computer, and then around him renders an office space like where he works. And all the people that he works with are in their offices in this space that's created around him. And it's still cartoonish in a way, but there's a part where this like super good looking woman that works there is like walking down the hall, and she walks in front of his window, and she like looks at him and shoots him eye contact. Like she's, good looking. She's like shoots him some eye contact, and then she just keeps on walking. And he sits there for a moment and just reflects. You can see he's thinking to himself, she was good looking or whatever. She likes me or something. It was a trip, man. I'm telling you, it's going to be, listen, man, listen, why would you don't need to own a nothing and love it? This is exactly the perfect scenario for owning nothing and loving it.
No, you're right. And it's funny you mention that, because I'm going to take a quick look at this video. It says, what will the future of jobs be like? The reason I'm going for this one is because it comes from the World Economic Forum from last year. So let's take a look at this.
COVID-19 is one of the biggest crises of our time. It has impacted every single one of us, shaken our social systems, and disrupted every sector of our economies. The automation of work, combined with a global recession, led workers to lose their jobs at an accelerated pace compared to previous years. And this trend is expected to continue. The ongoing shift in the division of labor between humans, machines, and algorithms might displace 85 million jobs worldwide in the next 5 years, while 97 million new roles, ones that are more adapted to this new task distribution, may emerge. By 2025, companies expect to displace roughly 6% of their total workforce. 1 in 2 workers will need reskilling, and those remaining in their current roles will need to update 40% of their skill set to adapt to the changing labor market. There is a way to collectively benefit from these challenging times. Decades of research have shown that the most valuable asset of any economy or company is its human capital. Around the globe, companies are already experiencing a shortage in relevant skills for future roles and are investing in reskilling and upskilling their workforce. By 2025, organizations say they will train over 70% of their employees to ensure they can smoothly transition into the jobs of tomorrow. These include DevOps engineers, artificial intelligence specialists, digital marketing managers, talent acquisition specialists, and customer success specialists. It will take on average between 2 weeks and 5 months for workers to pick up new skills, allowing them to move into these new roles. But data shows they won't need to have the perfect skill set to start transitioning. While 2/3 of employers expect to get a return on investment in employees' reskilling programs within just 1 year, governments will also need to step in to update and fund education and training systems, and to ensure displaced workers have adequate safety nets. With purposeful leadership and collaboration, we can turn this global crisis into a unique opportunity to transition into a future of jobs that is inclusive, fair, and sustainable.
Yes, a unique window of opportunity. You will own nothing and you will love it, Jimmy.
I know, because I own everything in the metaverse. Because that
Yep,
because
I've got a cracking new pair of digital suede shoes there, man. Love them.
that's what I'm saying, because listen, I was looking at some of the sets that they had, because they're saying that you're going to have a place that's called, quote unquote, home, which will be where everything that you do in the metaverse originates from this place called home. And some of the models for the so-called home were like super nice. Like, and I've been in some really nice homes in my day, up in Aspen, around Bel Air, Hollywood, nice place. And let me just say, some of the setups they have there look like you're in a home up in Aspen. Really high, 20-foot ceilings, floor to ceiling windows all around, 360-degree view, looking out at the Rocky Mountains with snow on them and trees and stuff. Your giant fireplace, is tall.
Just like my pad in Grand Theft Auto, dude.
See?
Awesome.
See? And you could just be in there. I mean, I'm just saying, if you're in there, why come out? I mean, once you figure out how to eat in there, you ain't coming out. Because, I mean, Rio was talking about this. They have this new haptic apparatus. It's not as extraneous as the other apparatus, the haptic suit. There's some other apparatus now that works just in conjunction like a haptic suit, where you feel sensation. And you feel, I mean, you're standing there and you feel like the wind. You're standing on the beach and you can feel the wind and smell the sea air, that kind of thing. Where everything all of a sudden just becomes like a total reality. And then cut to the movie The Matrix, and there's these dudes sitting in these bubbles, absorbing this liquid so they can, get nourished while they provide energy to the system, which is totally what we're seeing gonna happen with this metaverse. Because let's face it.
Oh, come on. I really think we're still a long way away from us being immersed in pods.
Right, but I'm just saying that really, when you think about it, the clicking.
Don't get me wrong. I can see how we're on the slippery slope to getting there.
Yeah, but I know we're not sitting
so far, dude. I'm so far. I'm not losing sleep over the whole. They're gonna shove us in pods scenario. And anyway, even if they did, right? How would you know? You would wake up the next morning and you just wake up like it's normal anyway. You wouldn't know.
You never know you're in a pod. See, that's the thing about the Matrix, man. Is when you're in it, it is the metaverse. You're in it just like the metaverse. This is the metaverse. It's only when you got outside of that you saw that there was something else. But until then, you don't know that there's anything else. So, for example, if this was a simulated reality that we're in right now, and you and I were characters somehow in this game that's going on, and somebody was playing us somewhere. You were somebody who's playing Kev Baker is sitting back in his in his chair somewhere, with a joystick in his hand or whatever. You know what I mean? So, but I mean, how would you know? There's no way for you to know. And then, so when you start thinking about that, and you remember like 2-3 years ago when this whole NPC thing popped up and all this, I mean, it's not really necessarily. You don't even have to go crazy with it, and you just say non-participating characters in the LARP. They're not in the LARP, but they're not with everybody else. They're non-participating characters. The LARP is a live-action role-playing game, which is exactly what the Metaverse is. The Metaverse is an electronic version of the LARP. In other words, you're playing a role in there, but you're living in squalor over there. But if for some reason you made the right moves in Earth 2, and you're living in a fat pad in the Hollywood Hills, you got a bunch of motorcycles and a bunch of cars, and you go out to the
You think about it, Jimmy, right now. You think about it because you're bang on. You're bang on. I mean, I've been quite outspoken about that 17th letter mob.
Yeah.
And they haven't got any metaverse, but they've swapped physical reality for fictive reality.
Yeah.
So you can absolutely see how if there was a server in the metaverse where Trump was still president, the deep state were getting rounded up and taken to Gitmo, millions of people would actually be willing to unplug from this reality and plug directly into that one.
Well, let me just say, what if that did happen? And then in the game, it turned into a first-person shooter game, just like these games that we see, where it's
awesome, like Doom.
Whatever game you can imagine.
I need to have a shoulder-mounted rocket launcher, dude. It's got to be the full Doom mode.
See, it could easily do that. So, in other words, what I'm saying to you is, in the metaverse, a game could develop out of a plot line that develops in the metaverse. So in other words, you switch out of being in your little domicile or your quote unquote home, and you switch into being a Tom Clancy game type scenario.
Dude, you know it's gonna be real woke in there. It's gonna be real woke in there. You know it, man. There's gonna be like pronouns. You're gonna have to declare your pronouns everywhere. It's gonna be well woke. If you raise your voice, you'll probably get sent to the naughty corner, the naughty corner. I don't know, dude. Maybe Bezos will have a dungeon somewhere where he can shove you in for a while, you know?
Here's a really great idea. What if there were certain people in the metaverse that were popular, and you couldn't be that person, but you could see first person through their eyes. And because they were cool and because they were an influencer in the metaverse, they were cool with like Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie, and they go over there and hang out and stuff. And you can buy in to the eyeball of your favorite celebrity, pay by the month, and then just buy into it. You couldn't
buy into the eyeball.
Yeah, man.
I love it.
I know. Would you see the?
It can be our gimmick. Buy into the eyeball.
Exactly, because you saw their new logo, right? It's 666 with a inverted delta symbol, okay, and an eye in the middle. All right?
Why not? Why not go beyond watching Joe Biden and actually enjoying smelling people through the eyeballs of Joe Biden?
There you go. See, you could POV it, man. Rent out
aroma vision, get a bit of aroma vision going on. Oh.
And think about once you got the augmented reality glasses and you're in reality, at that moment, you're literally recording reality for the metaverse. So in other words, while you're walking down the street with your augmented reality glasses on, it's getting a first-person view of you walking down the street. And that first-person view of you walking down the street will be used at some point to create a reality for somebody that was walking down the street. So once this thing gets rolling, like I'm saying, after 3, 4, 5 years, once things start get developed, it will be literally almost, I think at some point, it will be almost impossible to distinguish it from reality. In other words, the people won't be cartoonish looking tones to their skin. It'll look like
that's absolutely why, in my opinion, we've seen so many people being encouraged to take up things like dash cams.
Yeah.
So I think all of that footage was the perfect training data for the autonomous cars that we see now rolling out round about us.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen even people wearing GoPros in real life streaming. I think all of that footage has gone towards building out and pimping out this digital Earth, second Earth, metaverse. Call it what you will, you know.
Yeah, and imagine what you will and have it come to fruition right before your very eyes. It's almost like a Harry Potter type of reality where you just, you know.
You can be the wizard, Jim.
Well, so now I wonder now in the metaverse if you'll have to. Now listen, let me ask you this question. Let's ponder this a moment. So now let's say the metaverse takes off, and so we're all working from home now. We don't go to work anymore. And we actually go to work in these avatars, and we go to this place in the metaverse where we actually go to a place where we're in the room with all the other people that we work with. Or when we go to the bar after work, all the people that were down at the bar, you know, they're there. And, you know, this is how it's going to be, man. You know, and it's like, you know, you won't have to go anywhere. I don't think, honestly, think about, would you ever leave this situation where you could, I know what I was going to say to you. In this job now, in this job that you have in the metaverse, you earn money. Now, I wonder if you'll be able to start with a fat layer like you're talking about with your, Grand Theft Auto type layer, or you'll have to work your way up. You have to build up your bank in the metaverse.
You'll get a nice United Nations shoebox to begin with, Jimmy.
Why
yes,
not?
You'll be in New Freedom City or New Freedom Ghetto, whatever it was called.
Yeah.
Guys, listen, dude. Almost out of time because I'm going to wrap it up for the usual show time. But this has been a pretty good conversation, and I want you to. I know you're on your YouTube channel, and thank you for pointing out we were muted up for most of the show on Discord. I was that attentive to the conversation, Jimmy. I was too tuned to notice what was going on in the background. But let people know what's coming up on Into the Microcosm.
Well, I mean, we are definitely going to be jumping into the metaverse tonight on the show. Epic's going to get into some of the equipment that's going to be coming out, and we're going to talk a little bit about augmented reality. And, because the Google Glass thing really didn't go over too well the last time it came out, because people were hip to the fact that it was recording, them. It was not only showing information to the wearer, but it was also recording, like, up in San Francisco, people were wearing those, and a woman literally got smacked in the face, man. Some guy just went up and smacked her right in the face, man, at a bar when she had those glasses on. So, it's going to be an interesting couple of years when we start moving into this new area. And like I say, I think a lot of people are going to adopt it really quickly. I mean, you'll see, I think people will forget real quick about 5G as soon as they put on one of them pair of augmented glasses. And they're walking down the street, and then it knows that you're looking for a special gift for your wife. And when you're walking by a store, it pops up. She had looked at this online, and something she'd looked at 5 or 6 times, and the system knows she wants it, and it's on sale right there, and it'll pop up right in your augmented reality glasses, and you use your coupon. Maybe you'll even use money, like, for example, in China, WeMe or whatever has their own money system, their own in their social engineering, social media system over there. Your money exists in there, so you pay for stuff in your social engineering system over there. So I'm sure you'll be able to pay for stuff here. So maybe that's where his remember he had that coin he was gonna have, that Bitcoin. Maybe you'll be able to buy these Bitcoin style Facebook coins and spend them into places that are advertised to you through those glasses. So you won't see the advertising. You'll probably only see the advertising based on the subscription service you have. So, for example, you know how we have different movie services? So you could have HBO, Showtime, like this. You'd probably be able to have, Metaverse and a couple of different ones, and whoever you subscribe to is going to give you the equipment. The equipment will be like cell phones. Your Facebook or Metaverse headset was not going to work with this other one over here. You won't see the same advertising. You won't They'll be able to sell into different markets. So it'll be this illusion of choice. One will be better than the other. Or you can just buy a subscription. You can have an overall subscription and then have these packages where you'll get access to aspects of the metaverse that you wouldn't have access to just on the metaverse. So you'll have these other people that piggyback on and develop their own thing that ties into it. It'll be like another service you can buy from the metaverse, probably. Some sort of subscription. Indeed. Like apps.
Indeed. Yeah, so what time is that on it?
Oh, tonight, 10:30 Pacific. I'm sorry, that isn't what the show is about. That's the actual conversation I'm having with you now. I don't know if we'll talk about that on the show. I was just talking about it with you right now. But 10:30 Pacific, immediately following Clyde Lewis Ground Zero on Aftermath FM. So that's where we're at, and that's where we'll be. So we're there Monday through Friday. And I'll be here with you tomorrow, and I got something really cool tomorrow that I'm going to bring to the table.
What are we getting into tomorrow, man?
Well, let me just say, I'm not going to say. But I'll just say this, the number 12 is involved in it. But it's not what you think. I know what you're thinking right now. Okay, it's not that. But it is kind of like that, in a way.
I was actually thinking, what am I going to watch on Netflix later?
Well, I was thinking there's 33 people in the chat room over here. We're talking about the number 12 tomorrow. And It's the month of November, and next month is the 12th.
No,
month.
November already, dude. That's crazy.
I know. It's wild, man. It's crazy. This year has gone by so quick.
Yep.
It's wild, man. All right. Well, so are you on your way out of the door here?
Yeah, I'm gonna head on off. I'm gonna wrap it up, and hopefully we'll be back on TFR tomorrow. It was gonna be today. A lot of the repairs have been done, so hopefully, fingers crossed, tomorrow. But if not, you'll find us on Jimmy's channel, on my Twitch, over in Discord. And I've got the mute button sorted now on Discord. I apologize. So, yes, until then, folks, I think I'm going to take my leave, Jimmy. Are you going to stay on YouTube or?
Negative. I got to go handle some business. And my dog's not doing too well, man.
Crap, dude. I hate hearing that.
I know. It sucks, man. But I can't. I got to go back and hang out with him, and pet him and stuff,
Yeah.
So that's what I'm going to do, and then I'll be back later on. So thanks for everybody joining us over here on YouTube.
Yeah, thank you. Over on Jimmy's YouTube.
Everybody loves you, man.
12 on the Twitch. It's quite good for the Twitch today. Yes, indeed. And a big thank you to everyone over on the Disco as well. And I apologise for the mute button. Bobby Trizzle in for a cheer. Thank you very, very much, my good friend. And on that note, we are out of here.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. I've turned off the Twitcheroonie. Disco people,